Good morning, everyone. My name is Susan Spader, and welcome to Dale Carnegie's Jumpstart. If this is your first time with us, welcome. This is a time where we get together once a week to have a conversation around topics that are of interest to many of us today. And if this is not your first time with us, welcome back. We are so glad that you see value in our time together. So we always encourage you to get your morning jump start in a mug. Of course, whatever yours is. Mine is always coffee. And it's almost time for changing of the flavors. I have to admit, I am a pumpkin spice uh, person this time of year. But whatever your beverage of choice is this morning, we hope you will just take a few minutes and sit back with us and have some uh, thoughts and conversations around just why is leadership getting so complicated these days. And we can tell that it is because our phone is absolutely ringing off the hook. It is just amazing to me how many organizations and companies are calling because they recognize that their leaders need help. Their leaders are looking for ways to improve and get stronger and develop the skills that they need in today's environment. And what's so interesting as well is this isn't just our office. These are Dale Carnegie offices around the globe. So this is not just native to our part of the world. It truly is something that organizations that are global are struggling with. And it makes sense when you think about it because we have all gone through this shared experience, this pandemic. And as a result, our workforce and our workplaces have changed. And as we talk about many times, we cannot lead the same way at this point in time that we did before the pandemic. And so it really is a struggle. I thought it might be interesting to look at things from a numbers point of view right now. Just here's what some of the research is coming back in to tell us. And as you read through this, I mean, different numbers are going to stand out to you. But 48%, so less than half of our employees right now, view their company's leadership as high quality. Or 79% of employees are saying, I don't get any recognition, and that's making me want to leave my role. So we're dealing with all of this, employees who feel like they're not being recognized. That while there are, from a business leader's perspective, they believe that they are actively and they are regularly focusing in on the engagement of their employees. But there's a disconnect. It's one of those leadership blind spots where leaders, sometimes we think we're doing a better job than how our employees or our team members are perceiving what we're doing. So that's a real challenge. And then, when we revisit employee engagement, which we understand just how crucial that is in today's environment. About a third of our employees feel like they are engaged. Yet we know that organizations and companies that have higher engagement levels are more profitable. And then as we look at one of the most important generations right now in the workforce, those of millennials, and our older millennials can go up to 40 now. And so as they are starting to want to grow into leaders, develop into leaders within their organizations, they feel like there's a lack of opportunities and lack of development for them to grow into those roles. And then on the other hand, we see that a lot of businesses report that leadership is lacking. So you put all of these numbers and all of these percentages together, and as a leader, it just feels like an impossible situation. And you put on top of that all of the other things that we know of that has come up into our attention in terms of employee retention. What is our role in employee retention? How is it that we're responsible for whether people stay or go? Engagement levels. It seems like it all falls on the leader's shoulders because that immediate supervisor is the number one reason, that relationship is the number one reason that people leave organizations. Then you put on top of that, sometimes we are having to lead our organizations or our teams, and other times we're having to manage two separate skill sets between being a leader and being a manager. And then there's a lot of conversation around diversity, inclusion, and we keep those things in the back of our mind. And then what our employees are expecting or wanting out of the workplace now. And we've spent a lot of time talking about that. So you put all of this into a big bowl and stir it up. And these are all of the things that leaders in today's organizations are having to think about, be responsible for, be responsive to, and it's a lot. It is a lot on our shoulders. And so one of the things that really is, I guess, if you want to say coming to the forefront, or one of the things that is really being discussed now is this whole concept of human leadership. And employees say that they want and they expect a leader who is human, who sees them as human. So authentic. You're not one way with one group and one way with another. You're transparent, empathetic, where you are relating and connecting to individuals. And it has someone who's adaptive, and I know agile is the word that we use a lot of times, but both to market situations, changing environments, changes within our employees. So they're looking for those types of things as well. And so what is a leader really to do? So we thought just a couple of things to help you focus in, because it can be a little overwhelming. The thing that continues to be important to our employees is they want to know what they do matters. So let's be intentional about giving that praise and recognition to our team members. Catch them when they're doing something right. Really let them know when they give that extra discretionary effort. And as a leader, we also have to admit when we're wrong. It makes us human, going back to that human leadership, but it also sets us up as the role model. We are demonstrating to our teams that it's okay to make a mistake. Let's just admit it, fix it, learn from it, and move on. And as leaders, if we really listen to and value the feedback of our employees, again, that helps them feel that what they do matters, their contributions are important, especially when we implement their opinions. Because we all know the people who are doing the work usually have the best ideas around the work. And we have to be honest and transparent. Now is not the time to sugarcoat. Now is not the time to sidestep issues because our employees and our team members, they can smell it. And so that's all part of being that human leader is that honesty and transparency. Because as Dale Carnegie told us, we've got to remember that when we are dealing with people, we are not dealing with creatures of logic, but creatures of emotion. And that power of emotion, but positive emotion, is critical as we are working with our team members. We have to be aware that when our negative emotions are coming out, they're impacting a lot of people. So, how is it that we can keep those under control, have the emotional intelligence to really focus in on how we can positively present the feelings of pride that we have with our team, generating excitement, getting people to really be engaged and involved? That's how we tie into those positive aspects of human emotion. And when we talk about empathy, um, you know, our employees expect it. Now more than ever, being empathetic is critical. But what we've been hearing from a lot of our clients is, maybe it was a little bit easier in the height of the pandemic to have empathy. Everybody was struggling. It was brand new. It was a scary time. And now that things are, I hate to say going back to normal, but we're getting out of that critical stage of the pandemic. Um, Sometimes it's hard for leaders to sustain empathy, that ability to really feel and understand the world from the other person's point of view. The good news is empathy is a skill that with practice can be strengthened, it can be learned. And it's for some leaders, this is not something that comes naturally. So, how to develop empathy within our leaders and our leadership teams is something that we really need to think about in terms of giving them the tools in their toolbox to be effective in today's environment. And just some simple things we can all do. You have to listen, really actively listen, not just to respond. And there are a lot of visual cues as well. So if we're not in person, face to face, we need to be on camera so we can pick up on some of those visual cues. Thinking about, are we creating that safe space where people feel like they can disagree and not be reprimanded, where they feel like they can express their ideas if they go against maybe the norm? These are all important ways that we can help contribute towards empathy, easy to say. Again, that transparent, open communication. And then as we look at diversity and inclusion, that's an important piece of empathy because it really helps us understand how to see things from the other person's point of view. And as we're talking about all of the ways as leaders we need to be focused and train our directions and give our teams the right tools, don't want you to forget about yourself as well. And there's really a hard line number to this. For every year a company delays their leadership development, it can impact total sales by 7%. So this is not a nice to do. This is a have to do for a lot of organizations. Changing our leadership styles has become a non-negotiable in today's environment. And it can seem a little complicated, but in reality, if we just step back and we're intentional, we can make progress and step forward. I hope you'll join us next week. We're going to be focusing in on e-learning. We're getting a lot of questions about that. And so we're going to talk about the sweet spot for e-learning next week, where it's really effective, and where are some places maybe it's not your best solution. So if you have questions about that, we hope you'll join us. And in our chat today, or in the comments, we're putting a link to Dale Carnegie's Golden Book, which will give you a lot of great tips that you can put into practice to help you become that stronger, more effective leader. If you have other questions, please reach out, and we look forward to continuing our conversation next week on Dale Carnegie's Jumpstart. Have a great week, everyone.